Okay. Good evening, and welcome to Emerson Institute at City of Light. We apologize, we're experiencing a few technical difficulties, but we are ready to begin our class. And this is a brand new class on the Creative Mind and Success. It's a book by Ernest Holmes. I'm glad you've joined us tonight for this study. It's an ongoing study. We're going to continue on every Tuesday night, except next Tuesday. I apologize because next Tuesday I'll be gone attending a conference in Unity Village in Kansas City. And welcome to Emerson Institute at City of Light. And so we're having a little technical difficulties, so we apologize as we adjust. Ready to begin our class. And this is a brand new class on the How are we doing? Creative Mind and Success. It's a book by Ernest Holmes. I'm glad you joined us tonight for this study. All right. Should I continue? Okay. All right. Here we go. Class number 1, and as we prepare for this class session, I trust that you have a note packet in front of you and your pen, a pencil, whatever it may be, maybe a nice cup of coffee as well, whatever that you're relaxed and sitting in a good position to study together. If you don't have a note packet, please reach out to me. You can reach out to me at revtpaul@aol.com. That's R-E-V as in Victor, T as in Timothy, P-A-U-L at AOL.com. And I'll be delighted to pass that information on to our registrar, Dr. David Carter, who will make sure that you have a note packet prior to every class session. These are like cliff notes to the class session and to the chapter. Now, if you've not already purchased your book, we encourage you to go to Amazon.com and pick up the book. The textbook is Creative Mind and Success by Ernest Holmes. It's your guide to the law of attraction. Now, it's going to have lots of insights for us, so I hope that you'll be able to read along and study along with us. Let's prepare for tonight's class session by doing a little breathing exercise, as our tradition is. And let's take a deep breath in and hold for a moment and then release. Join with me in this. Let's breathe in and release. Deep breath in and release. Nice deep breath in and release. And in this moment of silence, please set your intention for that which you desire to transpire in your life during this time that we share together. And so it is. All right, let's take a look at class number 1 with a little introduction about our author, Ernest Holmes. Ernest Holmes was born January the 21st in 1887 and passed away on April the 7th of 1960. He was an American New Thought writer, teacher, and leader, and he was the founder of a spiritual movement that is known as the religious science. This is not Scientology. This is just religious science and is a part of the greater New Thought movement, whose spiritual philosophy is known as the science of mind. Now, today, that movement, religious science, is better known as Centers for Spiritual Living. And along with that, you will find many different churches that are of the New Thought tradition, wonderful metaphysical congregations. There will be unity churches, churches like City of Light that may be independent or affiliated with the affiliated New Thought network of New Thought congregations. The wonderful thing about this author is that he was the author of Science of Mind, which is an incredible textbook, and numerous other metaphysical books, and the founder of Science of Mind magazine, a continuous publication that has been ongoing since 1927, and his books have inspired and influenced many generations of metaphysical teachers. This metaphysical is that term that refers to being beyond the physical into the spiritual. So we're leaving behind just an interpretation of our world through physical eyes and moving into seeing an interpretation of the world through the spiritual. Because we firmly believe that we are spiritual beings having a physical experience. We're not physical beings trying to have a spiritual experience. No, it's the other way around. We came here as a spiritual being to this time, to this place, to this moment, and to this life. And we're here to live out from that spiritual perspective, our highest and best, to evolve and to experience this wonderful journey of becoming more and more aware of the God within us. So let's take a look at the author's opening statements as he's bringing us to begin an inquiry into truth as to what is truth. Because all of science of the mind and all of the teaching of the metaphysical journey is a journey of expressing truth, not a religious dogma, not a particular doctrine, but truth that is universal, that is ageless, that is timeless, that has always been there. So let's look at what is truth. Well, truth is that which is. That which is. It is the reason. Truth is the cause and the power, and the power in and through everything. That's what truth is. It's birthless, deathless, changeless, complete, perfect, whole, self-existent, causeless. It is almighty. It is God. It is the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. It is spirit, law, mind, intelligence, and anything and everything that implies reality. Wow, what a definition of truth. But people often say, what is truth? That we're teaching truth. Is this my truth, your truth? Is truth something that we can easily interpret from Scripture to find truth? Are there variances on truth? And so what we understand is that truth being the beginning and the end, it is that timeless essence of the reason, the cause, and the power in and through everything. That's what truth is. So we may look at Scripture and we find a passage from the Old Testament that says, in the beginning was God, or in the beginning was life, or in the beginning was intelligence. In the beginning was God, and it's just really summed up as we begin to understand what God is. God is this infinite wisdom. God is this infinite knowing. God is this infinite intelligence that is found within everything. It is so that we say that there's not a spot where God is not. God is this truth, this intelligence. When we find in Revelation 22, verse 13, it says, I am the Alpha and the Omega, the first and the last, the beginning and the end. That's what truth is. Truth has always been there and always will be. God is this truth. God is this life and this intelligence. Truth is what guides us. Send out your light and your truth and let them lead me. Let them bring me to your holy hill and into your dwelling. It says in Psalm 43:3. Let this truth, this light, this insight, this wisdom guide us. This wisdom that's been from the very beginning, the very reason and cause of all things. Truth is an understanding that Jesus taught, and it liberates us. So what we look at this, we find that, so Jesus was saying to those Jews who had believed in him, if you continue in my word, keyword, my word, then you are truly disciples of mine, and you will know the truth, and this truth will make you free. They answered him, we are Abraham's descendants, and have never yet been enslaved to anyone. How is it that say that you will, how is it that you say you will become free? So he was really teaching us about the reason and cause of everything. And when we know the reason and the cause, we're experiencing such a liberating force within our life. It begins to set us free from the bondage of, why am I living in fear? Why am I in stress? Why do I have anxiety? Why are all these challenges here? And when we understand this truth, well, it liberates us and it sets us free from the realities that we've created, from the world that we've created, liberated us to be exactly who we're called to be. An inquiry into truth, or the study of truth, is truly an inquiry into the cause of things as the human race sees it and experiences it. So what we're looking at is understanding a truth that liberates us is the cause of things. What is causing this? It's the starting point of our thought. And our starting point of our thought must always begin with our experiences. So know your story and know your truth. So here's the key thing: to live this authentic life, know who you are, know what you are, know that truth, speak that truth. Let that be your story. So if we understand that who we are is that we are the child of God, we are sons of God, we are heirs to all good things, we are understanding that we are divinity, we are God expressed, God in us expressing as us, but yet it is God within us that is being expressed. So we understand that this is the very starting thought, the starting point. We want to begin with this truth. We know, we all know that life is, or we could not even think that we are, life is. Since we can think, we say, feel, well, we must be. So since we can think, say, speak, and we can feel, well, we must be. We all know that life is, and we could not even think, or we couldn't even think who we are. Do we understand that? So this life is within us, and we are living this very essence and consciousness and awareness. We live and are conscious, aware of life. Therefore, we must be, and life must be. We live and are conscious, or we are aware of life. We're aware of it. We're aware of that we're breathing. We're aware of our existence. If we are life and consciousness, then it follows that we must have come from life and consciousness. If we are life, and we agree that since we're alive, we're aware of this, since we are thinking and speaking and feeling, we are aware of this, that we are life, then it flows that we must have come from life. We must have come from consciousness. We came from consciousness, and that is God is consciousness. God is awareness. When we are living in awareness, what's happened is we are living in God. So life is, and life is consciousness. Life is, it's all around us, it's in us, it's through us, it's always working for us. And life is this wonderful awareness of that wonderful consciousness. An awareness, being fully aligned and fully awakened to it. So what is this thing called consciousness anyway, if we're talking about this, and many of us are beginning at this class and wanting to know, what is this? Well, it is mental awareness. There are two kinds of consciousness. The author brings out this very clearly: objective consciousness, which is filled with self-choice and decisions, our will. Then there's subjective consciousness. It is the unconscious thoughts, ideas that are deep within. So we might look at it as surface consciousness and deeper consciousness. Objective consciousness on the surface level, filled with all the thoughts that are going through our head every single moment of our day. Then there's the subjective consciousness, or the subconscious, or the deeper conscious. It is those unconscious thoughts that keep us going, that say, just keep breathing, keep moving, knowing how to walk. You don't think about these things. You kind of just do them unconsciously. Now, to be conscious of our true self, and that is self-realization, is to be aware of who we are, aware of the divine, the presence of God within. I have a spiritual awareness. I know that I'm a child of the divine, born of God. We want to say that over and over again, and develop this awareness. I know that I'm a child of the divine, and I'm born of God. This is being conscious of the true self. We may think of ourselves as this physical being. We may think of ourselves as human, but we want to be truly aware that we are this divine, the very presence of God. That's the wonderful moment of self-realization. Jesus had this, as we read of his baptism experience. as he was in the water of the rivers of Jordan, and in those waters, the baptismal experience, he rose from those waters, and it says the heavens opened and a dove descended. A beautiful word picture for us that's full of symbolism. The consciousness within him opened. Heaven is within. The kingdom of heaven is within. Jesus taught us that. When we understand that the kingdom of heaven is within, what it is this awareness, this higher consciousness. His consciousness opened to this wonderful realization. And there descended upon him this dove, which is a symbol of perfect peace. Perfect peace coming over him. And he's feeling and sensing this voice from that consciousness, that this is my beloved Son, in whom I'm well pleased. We're all called to have that kind of experience, where we might awaken to this moment in higher consciousness, that we are the beloved. We are all sons, shall we say, the firstborn, heirs to the goodness of God. We're all that. No matter what our gender is, that symbolism of sonship is the Christ awareness within us. Meaning that firstborn, that son, was heir to all things. No matter who you are, that's what your gender, your sexual orientation, your sexual identity, whatever it may be, we're all these wonderful sons or heirs of the divine. Beautiful symbolism for us. Now, in your note packet, I have this square that just brings this wonderful awareness of this universal consciousness that some may call God is not a separate, superior, and condemning entity as most religious institutions claim. It is in fact the core essence of who we really are, which is an all-knowing source that is of unconditional love. Wow. When you think about it, you're created in unconditional love. You're created from unconditional love. That is God within. God is love. So we understand that it's not something separate from us. It's not superior or condemning, but it is the core essence of who we really are. Now, life must flow through everything, and there's no such thing as dead matter. Everything has life into it. Even this table has life in it. There is atoms that are making up this hard surface, and within these atoms there is incredible life. Life is one and cannot be changed except into itself. So this life force, this life energy is one. We're all one with one another. The life force within us. And it can be changed except for it evolves. It, shall we say, it changes into itself. All forms are of this unity and must come and go through some inner activity. This inner activity is our thought, our knowing, our understanding. God creates out of God's own self through self-recognition or thinking. So, as God recognizes, or the intelligence of the universe recognizes its own intelligence, there's a self-recognition. It creates out of that intelligence. It creates out of its own thinking. It creates out of that wonderful power. And we find this in the very creation story in the book of Genesis, chapter 1. And God said, "Let there be light." That thought, that creative power of thinking, spoke forth that thought of calling forth light. And that creative power then went at work, and there was light. So how do things come into being? Well, God creates them out of God's own self. And what is God's own self? This intelligence, or through the thought, the intelligence, thinking, reflecting. Let me tell you this, God is ever creative, and God is ever thinking, and God is the intelligent thought in this universe all around us, and we are one with this beautiful intelligence. Intelligence spoke its awareness. God spoke its own awareness. It thought what it knows, and it created. Its very own thoughts were at work, and thoughts are not physical, they are spiritual things. So we now understand that all things are not physical, they're spiritual, because thought created everything. Everything started first and foremost from thought, and that thought is this infinite intelligence. That thought is God. That thought is the divine source. So how much of that which is can we call life? Well, everything. Yes, everything. Life, or consciousness, is all that there is. It is the reason for all that we see, hear, feel, all that we experience in any way. Now, nothing from nothing leaves nothing. It is impossible for something to proceed from nothing. Since something is, that from which it came must be all that it is. So, nothing can come from nothing. So we understand that all of this creative energy had to come from something, and what it comes from is creative energy or creative intelligence. Life, the is all there is. Everything comes from it. Yes, including ourselves. We all come from life. God is life. God is this infinite creative power. So then, how do things come from life? Well, something caused it. Some thought created it. The secret in life is to stop and learn what the cause is. What thought, what line of thinking caused this to happen? Let's just say you're going through some challenges, some stress, difficult times. What brought this about? What thought created it? Because thoughts are the cause or the creative cause. Thoughts are creative power at work. The things that we must see must be real. So we want to say evil is real. In fact, that when the absence of the awareness of God is present, evil does arise. In the absence of light, there's darkness. It's there. When we are full of light, there is no darkness. So what is the cause of evil in the world? Let's think about that, because we're looking to the secret of everything. We're looking at the cause. Well, it's our absence of the consciousness or awareness of God, of the all good, of unconditional love. So God does not cause evil, just as light does not cause darkness. God is love, and the full awareness of love is love to the fullness, the fullest. Love cannot cause or be aware of evil because it's all love, and that's all it knows. It doesn't know evil because there is no absence of love to create room for evil or for evil to appear. So it is the absence of the awareness of God that creates evil. But if love is God, then there is no absence, so there's no room or creation of evil. So love, or God, cannot be even aware of evil. The truth must not explain away things that we see, but it must explain what they are. How does this happen? How did it come about? So we really want to study this and examine this to say, what's the cause of our challenges, of our difficulties, of these roadblocks in our life? What's the cause of this? Not God, but it is our thinking, the choices we make and the thoughts that we entertain. We're the ones who bring evil or error or challenges into the world, not God. So I have a little graphic here in our notes. It says, don't tell me not to do something without an explanation of why. Just because is not enough. Teach me the truth behind something and I will understand and know. You know, I love this because so often in religion, we just say, believe this or believe that, and there's no explanation of why or how it works. And we say, well, just believe it just because. But when we know the truth behind something, we will truly understand it, we'll know it, we'll comprehend it, and we'll be able to live it out. And that's the beautiful practice, the beautiful practical, shall we say, spirituality of the metaphysical journey. It's explaining to you so you can simply understand, how does faith work? How does the manifesting power of God work in our lives? How do we become co-creators with God? How? We want to understand all of this. And in this journey of metaphysics, the metaphysical journey begins to explain and give us the understanding and the truth behind something so that we will know it better and to the fullest. Now, Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. And he's saying, my teaching is the way to understanding. It is the truth that is timeless. It is the truth that sets you free. And is the life or the consciousness. Jesus is saying, I am, the I am within him, because the I am is that wonderful power and presence of God. Remember, Moses inquiring from the burning bush that was calling him and awakening him to his journey of returning to the Pharaoh and calling forth for the Hebrew children to leave Egypt. And in that conversation, he says, in what authority or what power, in what name do I go forth? And the burning bush, the voice within says, it is the power of the I am. The I am is God, God within. So when we say I am, we're speaking of that power and presence. And Jesus saying the I am within him, the presence that is within him, is the example of the way to think, to live, to breathe, to move. Jesus is our way shower, the great example, not the great exception. And a lot of people want to make him out to be the great exception. In other words, everything that Jesus taught and did in the miraculous, many people might suggest and say, well, that was Jesus. We can't do what Jesus did. We can't be like Jesus. He was the great exception. In other words, then Jesus would be essentially saying, here are all these wonderful miracles, and I'm teaching you all these wonderful truths, but don't try this at home because I'm the great exception and you never could do this. But yet, Jesus says, greater things than this shall you do. So Jesus expected us and anticipated that we would follow his teaching, that he would be the great example for us, not the great exception. Jesus did not say that things are an illusion. He said that we must not judge them from the standpoint of the seen, but must judge them righteously or with right thinking. That's what righteously refers to. And he meant that we must get behind the appearance and find out what caused it. So, we look at all these problems within the world and they're referred to many times as an illusion, and we're thinking, wait a minute, they're really real. But no, there are things that we've created that we can bring about change, and we can change as we change and move into righteousness or right thinking. And so we see the world from right thinking. We move beyond the physical appearances and say, wait a minute, what caused this challenge in my life? What caused this stress? What caused these problems to manifest within my world? Well, the key is to get behind the physical manifestation and say, wait a minute, let's look behind this and learn what caused these things in your life. What caused illness, stress, heartache, challenge, or what created blessings, miracles, and the unfolding of all good. That's the key, and that's our journey. So as we entertain more and more of the study of this class and go through this book, we're going to find that that's what we're going to be experiencing. We're going to learn what the cause is of all these challenges and how we might create new cause or shift or change or transform the experiences that we're going through that in the world are really only illusions because they're created from our thinking. And if we can change our thinking, we can change our world. So that means that they're not really hard-formed things, but they become illusionary that we can shift and change and mold because we can shift our thinking and our perspective, our outlook, our thoughts, and we can create a world that now aligns with our true desires. It all happens within the journey of mind, within our understanding of this great truth, that truth is the cause or the reason that is behind everything that we're going through in our life. So I just want to say thank you for joining us for this class, and I apologize for all the technical difficulties in our late start, but we'll be joining with you not next week on Tuesday. I hope to send you a sweet little video, if I can create one, from our conference at Unity Village in Kansas City with the affiliated New Thought Network, spiritual communities from all across the world coming together for this conference. And I would just offer a greeting next Tuesday night from that wonderful location and share with you some of the great results. But we'll be back the following Tuesday at 6 p.m. as we continue this study of this incredible book by Ernest Holmes that is bringing to us the powerful teaching of the creative mind and success in our life and how we might achieve that great prosperity and blessing that we so seek through the power of the creative mind. Thank you so much for joining us. Now, if there are anyone who's joining us and you have a takeaway from tonight, we'd love to hear from you. We'd love to connect with you and hear what inspired you from this class. I want you to go back and review over these notes because there's a lot of stuff that's out there. And if you have questions, feel free to ask because I'd love to explain in greater detail. I trust that you'll be reading the book and you'll follow along with some of the notes and go, oh, now I understand a little bit deeper about this teaching and what it's all expressing for us. What Ernest Holmes is trying to get across to us is this power of truth, this wonderful understanding, this intelligence that's guiding us, shaping us, and molding us. And when we get truth, when we understand truth, it liberates us. Wow. It sets us free in so many wonderful dynamic levels. So with that, hey, let's go to Dr. David Carter and say, what's your takeaway from tonight's class? He's here in our multimedia programming. So what spoke to you?
When we know truth, then we understand that every effect that we experience that has a cause behind it, and that only we control that cause.
Yes, we can control that cause. Isn't that wonderful? We can be liberating ourselves. We can set ourselves free as we take truth to heart, put it into practice. Is there anyone else that has a comment that may have been joining us from our class?
Holly is here, but I don't see a comment yet.
All right. So maybe it's going to take a few moments for some of those who are viewing with us to share a comment with us, but we hope. If you have a thought, please, or a question, reach out to me. You can reach me at Rev T. Paul, that's R-E-V, T as in Timothy, P-A-U-L, at AOL.com. Send me an email and I'll be glad to chat with you more or help you if you've got any questions. I'm here as an instructor in this wonderful journey of discovering truth for our lives. I look forward to seeing you then next week. We want to say God is doing some amazing things, and we look forward to seeing you. I'll see you from Unity Village and offer a brief video from there, and then we'll see you in class once again the following week. God bless you. Have a great evening.